So now, before we deep dive to the formatting and casting, I would like you to understand what is date format. So back to our example, we have here the date and time informations, and we understood there is components, year, month, day, and so on. Now, if you check the date time, there is combination of numbers and characters. For example, the 2025 is a number, but between the month and the year, there is like a minus between them, and this is a character. So now this is a very specific format, and in SQL, we can have a code for this format. So for example, let's start with the year. We have here 4 digits, and we can represent it with 4y. So y. And we call those characters as format specifiers. So this is how we represent the year. Then between the year and the month, there is like this small minus. And then the month is 2 digits, and we're gonna represent it with 2 big M, so MM. Then between the month and the day, there is a minus, so we have as well minus. And then the day gonna represent it with 2 digits, DD. And then we have like a space between the date and time. And then we start with the date, so it starts with the hour, big H and big H, because here we have the system of 24, and then we have double points, small m. So as you can see here, the formats are case sensitive. So there is a big difference between small m and a big M. So a small m indicates for a minute, and big M indicates for a month. So as you can see here, the case format is case sensitive. So 2 small m means minutes, but 2 capital M means month. Then double point and small 2s. So now the whole code is called the date format. So this is the date format representation of this value. Now in the Word, there are different representations on how to represent a date. So for example, in SQL, we have the international standard ISO 6801, and the date format is, like we have learned, first, it starts with the year, so 4 digits for the years, minus 2 digits for the month, minus 2 digits for the day. So year, month, day. But in the USA, we have different standards. So first, it starts with the month. So we have MM, and then after that, it is followed with the day. So we have then the day, and after that, at the end, we have the year. So this is the standard format that is used in USA, and in Europe, we have different representations of the day. So it starts first with the small, so it starts with the day, then the month, and then the year. So this is exactly the opposite of the international standards. So as you can see, we don't have one standard, we have different ways on how we represent dates. But in SQL, the SQL Server is following the format of the international standards. So SQL Server start always with the year, then month, then day. So all dates that are used in our SQL database can be following this format. Okay, so after we understood what is date format, now let's talk about formatting and casting. So what is formatting? Is changing the format of value from one to another. So we are changing how the data looks like. So for example, we have our date, so it's following the international standards, start with year, month, then day. Now we can go and change the format using the function format, where we can go and define a different date format. Like it starts with the month, and then we have like slash instead of minus, and then the day slash year. So in the output, we're going to get it like this, and even the years is only 2 digits, not 4. So here we are providing for SQL the format that we would like to see the data with. Or you could go with other format where you have 3 big M and then 4 digits for the year, and between them is just a space. So in the output, you will get abbreviation of the month name, and then space and the year. So this is one way on how to format data, but in SQL there is another function that helps us to format data, and that is convert. So here we provide not the format itself, we provide style number. So for example, the style number 6, so it can show it like this, day, space, and after that we have the abbreviation name of the month, and then 2 digits of the year. Or if you use another style, the 112, then you will get the year, month, day without any separation between them. And of course, not only the date and time we can style as well numbers. And here we can use the function format in order to change the format of the number. So here if you are using the format of n, numeric values, then the value is going to be separated with comma. Or if you use C for the currency, then you will get the $sign. Or if you go and use P, then you will get the percentage, and at the end you have the percentage character. So as you can see, we can as well change the format of the numbers, not only the dates. So this is what we mean by formatting. We are just changing how the value looks like. Now in the other hand, the casting, the casting can go and change the data type from one to another. So for example, if we have the value 123 as a string, we can go and convert it from the data type string to an integer. So in the output, we'll get as well 123, but as a number. Or we can go and change the data type from date to a string. So in the output, it is not anymore a date, it is a string value. Or the way around, we can change the data type from a string to a date. So as you can see, we can change the data type from one to another, and we can use that using two functions. The first one is, and the most famous one is, cast function. Or in SQL Server, we can use as well the convert function in order to change the data type. So this is what we mean with casting, changing the data type from one to another. Alright, so let's start with the first function, the format. So what is format? As the name suggests, it formats a date or time value. So it's like we are changing how the date and time looks. Okay, so let's check the syntax of the format, and here it accepts two parameters, and the third one is optional. So the first one, we have to provide a value. It could be a date or a number. And the second one, we have to provide the format. So here we are specifying the new look, the new format for this value. Now the third one, it is optional one. It is the culture. Culture means show me the value, whether it's date, time, or number. Show me this value in the style of a specific country or region. So each country, each region has different formats. So here we can go and change it to a specific region format. But as I said, it is optional. Let's have an example. So here we are saying, go and format the order date using the following format. So dd, day, then slash, then we have the month, then slash, then the year. So SQL gonna go and format this with this new format. And as you can see here, we didn't specify any culture since it's optional. Let's see another option where we can say, you know what, I would like to have the order date formatted with this format, but we would like to go and add the style of Japan. So we are specifying here the code or the style of Japan. And of course, we can go and use the format not only for the date, but as well for formatting the numbers. So here we are specifying the value, the format is D, and as well we have activated the culture option. We are using the style of France. So this is the syntax of the format. Using this option is not really common, so I rarely see this format or someone using it. So the first example is the most used one in the projects where we have the culture as default, or we are not using the culture at all. And of course, if you don't specify anything, SQL can go and use the default culture, which is ENUS. So this is all about the syntax of the format. All right, so now let's have a few examples using the format. So we're gonna go and format the creation time. So we're gonna do it like this, format. And what we are formatting the creation time. And now you can go and define any specifier you want. For example, let's say DD, like this. So let's go and check the outputs. So execute it. Now, if you are using DD, you will get the day information. So we can see if you are using this specifier, we are getting 2 digits about the day. So, and as well, we are getting the leading 0. So we are getting the 01, 05, and all those informations are the day information. Now let's go and try something else, adding one more D. So let's have it 3D. And here as well. So let's go and execute it. So now if you check the output, we are getting now the name of the day. It is not full. So we are getting like a short name of the day or abbreviated one. So this is sometimes nice if you are creating like a calendar or something. Let's go and add one more D. So we're gonna have 4D, and let's go and check the result for this one. Now in the output, we are getting the full name of the day. So it's really nice. Now we are getting full flexibility on how to format our day. Okay, so now let's keep playing. Let's get something else. I'm just gonna go and duplicate everything, and I will go with the month now. So this is 2M, 3M, and 4M. Let me do it like this. So let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, we are getting the same stuff, but for the month. So MM, we will get the 2 digits, and 3M, we will get the abbreviated name of the month, and for M, we will get the full name of the month. So it's like we are extracting the date part from the format, but of course we don't use it like this. We will go and write the whole format that we need for a date. So for example, let's go and change this format to the USA format. So in order to do it, we're gonna go over here. So let's say format, again, the creation time, And now we're gonna write the format of USA. So it's gonna be MM. Then after the month, we're gonna have like minus, then day, and then after that, we're gonna get the year. So for time year, and that's it. Let's call it USA format. So let's go and execute it. And now you can see in the output, we got a new column where we see now the date information, but as a USA standards. So it starts with the month, then the day, and then afterwards we got the year. And of course, we can do the same thing in order to generate the standard format of Europe. So what we're gonna do, I'll just duplicate it. And now the format of that's gonna start with the day, then the month, and then the year. So now if you check the output, you can see it starts with day minus, then we have the month, then minus the year. So as you can see, we are changing the format of the date from the creation time to something new. Alright, so now we have the following task and it says, show creation time using the following format. Now we have a very weird format, so it starts with the word day, then after that we have the abbreviation of the day, and then abbreviation of the month, this is the quarter informations, then the year, and after that we have the time, and we're gonna say whether it's PM or AM. So it's a little bit weird format that you don't see it everywhere, but still we want to practice on how to construct such custom formats. So let's do it step by step. I'm gonna go over here and a new line. So the first one is like day. So we don't have any format for that. It's just like characters. So this one gonna be static for all the formats. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna say with a string, this is the day. So let's go and execute it. So with that, we got a static value. Everywhere we have the word day. So that's it. And after that, we have a space. So I'm going to go and include it after the day in the string. So we have a day, then space. And after that, we need the abbreviation of the day name. So what we're going to do, we're going to go first with the plus operator in order to concatenate the strings. So we need the format function for the creation time. And what do we need? We need the short name. So it's going to be 3 times the D. Let's go and execute it. Let me just say here, custom formats. So now, as you can see in the output, we have here the day, then afterward we have space, and then the abbreviation of the name of the day. So it looks so far good. Now, after that, what do we need? We need space and then the abbreviation of the month. So we can go and add all those stuff together with the format here. So we don't have to create 2 formats. So space and the abbreviation of the month is 3M. So let's go and test it. Great. So now, as you can see, we got the abbreviation of the month as well, side by side. So so far we have covered this part. Now we have to move to the second part. So we still need a space and then Q1. Well, the Q gonna be static, so we cannot go and extend this format. We have to start a new one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add a plus here and a new line. So what do we need? We need first a space between the month and the quarter. So let's go and add space. And we need the Q as a static value, like this. Let me just move it like this. And now after that, we need this one like this, right? So now we need the quarter informations and we don't have format for that. That's why we have to go and use the part extraction functions. And the one that we're going to use, since we are using string, I will go with the date name. So quarter, and we are extracting from the creation time. So let's go and test it. So now in the output, you can see we have everywhere a Q1, and that's because all of those dates are in Q1. All right, so now we are so far halfway in our format. So now next, what do we need? We need like a space and then the year information and then the time information. So now in order to go and get space, we're going to do it very simply. Concatenate, and we're gonna have space. Now let's go to a new line, and in order to get the year, I will go with the format as well. So format, and what do we have? We're gonna have the creation time again. So how are we going to format it? Now, what do we need? We need the year. So it's going to be 4 times the Y. And after that, we have like space and then the time information. We still can do that inside the format, right? So we're going to have space here. And then next, what do we have? We have the hours. So it's going to be HH, the small h, because here we are talking about the PM and AM. It's not the 24-hour system. And then after that, what do we have? The points, double points. Then the minutes, going to be small, 2M. And then after that, the seconds. So far, this is exactly this part over here. And now what is missing is space and the PM, the designator. So in order to do that, we're going to have a space as well. And then small 2 times TT. All right, so we are almost there. Let's go and execute it. Now you can see it is working. So we have the year then space, the hours, minutes, seconds, and space, and then we have the designator. So this is PM and this is AM, which is correct. So that's it, we are done. This is how you can create those crazy formats in SQL using the help of format or maybe date name or maybe some static values like we just added here. So I think it's really fun formatting the dates in SQL. Now, one use case for the format that I frequently use in my project is using it to format the date before doing aggregations. So it's like part extraction, but here we have more customizations on how we represent the date at the reports. So we can show a report like sales by month, where we display, for example, the date as abbreviation name of the month, Jan, and as well 2 digits for the year 25. So once we change the format like this and then do data aggregations, we will have a nice report about the sales by month. So let's have a quick aggregations using the format. So we're gonna go and say select, and now the order dates, and count the number of orders from our table, sales orders, and then group by. But now before we start using the order date, we have to go and format it. And then if you take the order dates, let's go and execute it. So as you can see, the level of details is very high, and we have here 10 rows, and for each day we have like one order. Now we learned we can go and use the date part in order to extract one part and then aggregate on it. But now instead of that, we're going to go and use the format function. So let's go and change the format, and it is the order dates, and our format going to be like this. So 3 big M and then 2 digits for the year. That's it. And let's call it order dates, and we need this as well for the order date over here for the group by, and here a comma. So that's it. Let's go and execute it. So in the output, as you can see over here, we have 3 months, and here we're having the aggregation, the number of orders for each month. So now it's like the date part, but now we are customizing the format as we want. So we can use the format in order to change the granularity of the date in order to do that aggregations. Now I'm going to show you a real use case for the formatting in real projects. Now our data could be stored in different technologies, like the data could be stored in CSV file, or we can get our data using an API call, or in very common scenario, our data could be stored in database. So now what we usually do, we go and extract the data from these different sources into one central storage. It could happen that you are getting different formats for the dates. And of course, this is a problem for analytics. You cannot present different formats for the dates. What you're going to do, we're going to go and clean up the formats into one standard format. So that means we have to format the incoming data to a new format. And once we have one standard format, we can use it in analytics and reports. So this is very common use case in data preparation and in data cleanup by formatting different formats into one standard format. Now in SQL we have many different date and time specifiers, and as I said, they are case sensitive and each one of them has a different meaning. So I prepared for you as well all possible specifiers that we can use with the formats. Not only that, if you go back to the queries that you can find in this chapter, you can find here date format. So all date format, if you go inside it, you can go and copy the whole query and then go back to SQL, then execute it. You can find here a live example because I'm manipulating now the get date. So you can find here a list of all possible date specifiers that you can use with the formats. So I would say go and practice with those different date formats in order to understand what is possible in SQL. So as we learned, not only we can change the format of the date, we can change as well the format of the number using the function formats. And those are the different possibilities that you can use as a specifier for this format in order to change the format of the numbers. And as well, I have prepared all those different specifiers in one big query. So if you go inside it and copy it and then put it in SQL and execute it, you will find here all different possibilities that we have as a specifier to change the format of the numbers. Alright, so what is convert? It's very simple. It's gonna go and change the value to a different type. And as well at the same time, it helps formatting the value. Okay, so let's check the syntax of the convert, and it looks like this. It starts with the function convert, and it accepts 2 parameters. The data type first, since we can use this function in order to cast the data types. So you can use string, integer, date, and so on. And then we have to specify the value, so which value should be casted. And the last parameter, it is optional one, where you define the style, the format of the value. Let's have this very simple example. We are saying convert to the data type integer int, and the value that should be converted is 123 as a string. So it's going to convert it to integer. We are saying convert to a varchar, and the value that should be converted is the order date. So the order date should be a date. So we're going to convert it from date to varchars using the format or the style of 34. So here we are specifying a style, a format for this value. And of course, it is optional, and if you are not using anything, the default value that's going to be used is 0. So this is the syntax of the convert in SQL. Alright, so now we're going to have a few examples on how to work with the convert. So let's go and convert, for example, string to integer. So we're going to say, for example, convert. So what is the target data type? It's going to be the integer, and the value, it's going to be like, for example, 123. So, and let's call it like this, string to integer, and the function is convert. So now on the column name, as you can see, I'm using here brackets, and that's because I'm using like empty spaces and so on. And with that, I will get more freedom on how to name things. So this is just the name. So this is no function or something. Let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, it's going to work. So we are converting from a string value to an integer. And the output, this 123 here is not string, this is the data type of integer. Alright, so now let's have another example where we want to convert from string to date. So the target is going to be the date, and the value, let's have this value as usual. And we're going to go and call it string to date convert. Okay, so let's go and execute it. Now in the output, we will get this information, this string as a date. And with that, we have converted the data type from string to date. Now let's have another example where we want to convert the date time to a date. As you remember, the creation time is a date time, and we would like to have it as only date. So let's go and convert. And we would like it to be as well date, but this time it's going to be a column called creation time. And let's give it the name. So we are converting date time to date. But of course here we have to go and select. So from sales orders, that's it. Let's go and execute it. Now as you can see in the output, we got only date. I'm going to go and select the creation time in the query as well. So now as you can see, the creation time was before a date time. So we have that time information as well. But if you go and cast it using the convert and make it only date, so SQL gonna go and convert it to date, and you're gonna lose all the informations about the time. So far what we are doing here is just casting. So we are changing the data type from one to another, but in the convert we can do both. We can do casting and formatting. So let's see how we can do that. I will just get rid of those information at the start. So creation time. And now we're gonna go and convert the date time of the creation time to a varchar, to a string, and as well to give it the format of the USA standard format. So let's see how we can do that. We're gonna start with convert. We are changing now to varchar. So this is the new data type, and the value is the creation time. And now if I don't give it a style, it's gonna stay with the standard format, but we would like to have the USA standards. So in order to do that, we're going to go and add the style of the format. So it's going to be 32. So that's it. Let's have a name like this. So USA standard, and we are using the style of 32. Let's go with that. This is just a name again, so it's not a function. Let's go and execute it. And now in the output, we got a new field, and the data type of this field is a varchar. So it's not a date or date time. And as you can see, the date now is formatted using this style, the 32, the USA standard format. So it starts with a month, then a day, and then a year. So now let's go and do the same thing in order to get the standard format in Europe. So I will just go and copy the whole thing. I will just change the style. So instead of 32, we're going to go with the 34. And I will just change the name as well. So we are just changing the style. Let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, we got the same thing. We have as well a varchar, and the format now is different. So we have here the day, and then the month, and then the year. So this is how you work with the convert function. You can use it in order to do only casting, or not only that, you can do casting and as well formatting. So you have both things in one function. And now if you're talking about which styles are available, we have many styles that you can use inside the convert. So I have prepared for you a list of all styles that you can use with the convert. So we have styles only for the dates and another styles only for the time and styles for only date time. Now in the download folders, you can find here one file called all culture formats, and here you can find one query that I've prepared where you can find inside it the different cultures and the examples. So let's go and copy it and let's go back to SQL, paste it, and let's see the results. So now if you check the output, we got the first column is the cultures that is used. So we have a lot of cultures, like around 17, and you can see how the numbers are formatted or the date is formatted based on this culture. So it's really fun. You can check here, for example, how the format in Japan or Korea or France and the German one. If you scroll down, you can find the Arabic, the Russian, and so on. So you can see the formats of each date is changing based on the culture. So I would say have fun, go and try those different culture formats in order to format your numbers or dates. So what is the cast function? It's gonna go and convert a value to a different data type. So it turns one data type to another. Alright, so now let's check the syntax of the cast. I really like this one. It is not typical like format or syntax in SQL. So it says the cast is the function, and then inside it we need two things, but it's not separated like with the comma as we learned before with all other functions, but this time it's separated with the keyword as. So it's like the natural English. You are saying cast the value as a data type. So you are casting the value to a new data type. So let's have this very simple example. We have here cast the value 123 as integer. So previously it is string and it's going to be converted to integer. So as you can see, it's very simple. Now in this example, we are saying cast this value, this string value as a date. So convert it from string to date. So as you can see with the cast, we don't have here any option of formatting or styling the values. So it's only dedicated for casting the value from one data type to another one. So this is the syntax of the cast. It is very straightforward and it's really nice function. Okay, so now let's have a few examples about the cast. So let's go and convert a value from a string to integer. So it's very simple. We're gonna say cast. So now we need the value. So let's go with the 1, 2, 3. So we have here a string, and then we're gonna say as, and then we have to define the data type. So the data type gonna be integer. So that's it. So let's give it the name like this, string to integer. Let's go and execute it. Now as you can see, we got the value, but with the data type integer, from string to integer. Now let's do the way around. We cast from integer to string. So we're gonna say cast 1, 2, 3 as varchar, and we're gonna give it the name int to string. So let's go and execute it. Now in the output, we have 1, 2, 3, but this time it has the data type varchar. Now let's go and work with the date. So we're gonna go and convert a value, a string value, to a date. So our value gonna be the usual one, and we want it from string to date. So we're gonna have the data type as date. So let's give it a name, string to dates. Let's go and execute it. Now we're gonna have this value with the data type date. So that's it. Now let's say that I would like to have this value but as date time. So I will just copy the whole thing and go to a new line and say date time 2. So the name of this is going to be string to date time. Let's go and execute it. Now in the output, as you can see, we are getting not only the date, but as well we are getting the time information. But now since we didn't provide SQL with any time information, SQL gonna go and show it as zeros. Now let's do one more casting where we change the data type from date time to date. So now we need our creation time, but we have to get it from the tables. So from sales orders. Let's go and execute it. So now in the output, you can see the creation time is a date time. We have the time information, but we are not interested about that time information. I would like to have this field as a date. So it's very simple. What we're going to do, we're going to say cast. Now the value is creation time, and then the keyword as, and we need it as a date. So we're going to give it the name, date time to date. So let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see in the output, we got the creation time, but only with the date information. We don't have anything about the time. So we get it as a date instead of date time. So that's it. This is amazing function in SQL and it's very simple, and we can use it only for casting. So only to change the data type from one to another. And we cannot use this function in order to change the format. So if you are casting, you will get always the standard format from SQL. So now let's go and compare our functions side by side. So we have our three functions: cast, convert, and format, and we can do two things, either casting or formatting. So by the casting, for the first function cast, we can change any type to any other type, so there is no restriction at all. The same thing for the convert, the same thing, we can convert anything to anything, but for the format we can change only to a string, so any data type like a date or number to a string value, because the main thing for the format is not changing the data type. Now if you are talking about changing the format of the values, you cannot use the cast function in order to change the format. So the cast function is only for casting, it makes sense. Now about the convert, we can use it in order to change the format of the date and time, but we cannot use it in order to change the number formats. And for that we have a dedicated function called format, so we can use it to change the format of the date and time and as well the numbers. So those are the main differences between those three functions. Alright, so with those three functions we have learned how to do formatting and casting on date informations. Now moving on to the third group, we have the date calculations, and here we have two functions on how to do date calculations or mathematical operations on the dates. If you like this video and you want me to create more content like this, I'm gonna really appreciate it if you support the channel by subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. All those stuff gonna help the channel with the YouTube algorithm, and as well my content gonna reach the others. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.